And joining us now is Ian Tuttle, who has a great piece at National Review Online, Angela Corey's Checkered Past. Hey, how are you, Ian? How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Steve?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so we don't have a heck of a lot of time, about 5 minutes or so. So talk about some of the more egregious past performances of Angela Corey.
Sure. Angela Corey has quite a history, and most of it involves three main things. Overcharging is one. That's bringing, as we saw in the Zimmerman case, bringing charges that she simply can't prove. Another is her treatment of juvenile offenders. She completely dismantled an internationally acclaimed juvenile program in Florida, and has since become extremely tough, some would say inappropriately so. Florida lawyers tell me that she has a pattern of withholding evidence, and that's sort of the focus of my piece and focus of a lot of the ethics, the complaints against Corey, especially the much publicized one of Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz.
Yes.
That she withheld evidence in the original affidavit she filed to get the second-degree murder charges to stick. And the last, and I've listed four actually. The last is a pattern of really awful retaliation against anyone who criticizes her, and that's retaliation that's both personal and professional.
Well, you bring up Alan Dershowitz, and I don't know if you meant to say this, but Alan Dershowitz, she called, according to Alan, she called Harvard Law School after he criticized her for overcharging and made comments about her. And according to Alan, he's told us on this show, she went from person to person trying to get him fired from the law school.
That's right. I talked to Professor Dershowitz, and she called the dean of Harvard Law School, who wouldn't take the call, which I think adds a little bit of humor to the situation. So Corey was rerouted to the Office of Communications, and the poor staffer there had to listen to a 30-minute rant ranging from calls for Dershowitz's head to threats of a libel lawsuit, including one against Harvard Law. And of course, as Professor Dershowitz told me, he's a tenured professor. He's served there nearly 50 years. None of that's going to stick. But I think there's one of the
I'd love to see you bring a lawsuit, though. That I'd like to see.
Absolutely, front row tickets for that courtroom proceeding. One of the things that's interesting that Professor Dershowitz told me, and that I think is important, that hasn't been widely reported, is, according to him, she told the person in the Office of Communications that she had assigned a state investigator, a Florida investigator, to look into Dershowitz. That's a taxpayer-funded member of her office.
Wow.
It's a gross abuse.
On a personal issue, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a gross abuse of power, and there are laws in Florida. Other attorneys have told me that you simply can't use public office as a platform from which to threaten or coerce or compel. I mean, very
well. Ian, what's
her
charmed life? How does she get away with all this stuff? I mean, and now she put this poor black woman in jail for 20 years, no questions asked, claiming that she shot the gun in the air or through the wall because her husband had been beating her and she felt threatened and never hit anybody with that shot. And she claims that there were victims. Who were the victims? Kids standing on the other side of the wall who weren't hit. How does she get away with all this stuff?
Exactly. That's the case of Marissa Alexander.
Yeah, we only got about a minute, so I'm sorry for the short interview. But why doesn't she? They just they have Republican governors and all. Why is she elected? Is that it?
Well, I'll not to do a shameless plug, but I have a piece on that on the homepage today, and that's why did they choose Corey? And the simple fact is that she's in very good graces with the governor and the attorney general of Florida, Rick Scott and Pam Bondi, respectively. She's, as someone told me, I quote, a hell of a trial lawyer. She's known for being extremely tough.
Don't scoop yourself anymore. It'll serve both our purposes. People go to National Review Online to check out Ian Tuttle's piece, and I'm up against a hard break. Ian, thank you very much, sir. Pleasure talking to you. Keep up the good work.
Thanks so much.
All right, my pleasure. On the Steve Malzberg Show.